Hello, everyone. This is Jared, and I think Robert's here too somewhere.
I'm here.
And this is the Reading Over the Shoulder podcast. So if you guys really like it, we'll do a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
But if you guys don't like it, we'll stop.
Yes.
Actually, you're probably hoping we stop already. Today, we're going to be talking about The Ranger's Apprentice by
John Flanagan.
There we go.
Yeah. I always get him mixed up with the Star Trek Atlantis lead.
Didn't think of that until right now.
Every time I read it, and doing this blog, I've had to read that name a lot.
Now I'm just imagining John Shepard writing this story.
Uh-huh.
Huh. Okay. So we have a little bit of an itinerary of a few things we're going to talk about. Are we just going to start from the top?
We can start from the top at world setting, I guess.
Okay. You know a little more about this than I do, so.
Yeah, I looked into it, and we were both unsatisfied with exactly how accurate some of these countries in the series are to actual real-world countries. They're almost exactly identical. Some of them have only got a few words changed, like letters in their names changed.
Fair enough. I really like that Galicia.
Sadly, I was sci-fi and called it Gallica.
Ooh, okay. I like Gallica better. So Gallica is basically France, and I remember when they were like trekking through that Halton Horus, like it's exactly what you'd want to imagine France was like, where it was just rogue knights and fighting people every 20 miles. Like
it's true. I read all of that with a really cheesy French accent, uber cheesy.
Somehow I think actual medieval France was a little more sophisticated than that.
Probably, if they weren't killing each other.
Yeah, good times.
Not ancient, medieval France, violent times.
Yeah.
I didn't like how they were all. It felt like the countries were created in a vacuum, that we didn't really actually know. Like, they didn't actually know each other very well until suddenly the main characters came along.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, it does feel a little bit like a video game where you show up on the scene and then everyone starts fighting.
Yeah.
They weren't really fighting before. They weren't trying to fight the fires or anything before. They just kind of were there, waiting for the main character to show up. That's fair. And yeah. I understand like peasants and normal people not knowing each other really well and not having good international relations, but for the king and the king's advisors and all of those people just to not know anything and not talk to people and not have any type of international relations, that seems weird. Especially for like an island country of Arulen. Hi, I'm a reader. I don't pronounce things.
Exactly. Anybody listening to this, if they come and say that we pronounced it wrong, it's because we pronounced it wrong, like really bad.
So that's basically England, and medieval England was, well, late medieval, more Renaissance England was very active. They did lots of trading. They were always going places and doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So they made the author made a country that was based off of England, but without the English parts of international trade and being mariners.
Yeah, especially with the mainland. The connection with the mainland should have been a lot stronger. I understand the island nations were pretty close. Not really close, but pretty close. But the islands and the mainland, they had almost no connection with each other.
Yeah.
Should we move on to magic?
Oh, I love the magic in the series, but that was only there for like 2 books.
Like the first 2.
Unless you can like ranger stuff.
Yeah, the ranger abilities were like full-on magic in so many different ways. But really, you're gonna go and introduce mind control and telepathy in like the first book or two, and then nothing.
Yeah.
Nowhere else. Nobody
Well, I
else has
guess.
got their own special magic. Not even a little bit.
Well, in the siege of Maga,
Uh-huh. That place.
in the siege book,
Mick and Ma
there's-
or whatever.
where he goes to the winter place and there's a siege. Like the guy there, he knows a few things about potions and it's kind of miraculous and there's
Yeah.
some things, but it's all explainable by science.
And he actually sort of focused on the science, advanced scientific knowledge of things was sort of his magic.
Yeah. So there was a little bit, yeah. Aside from that, there was like no magic. It would have been nice to see magic continue throughout the series and build little bits on, and maybe introduce another character that actually uses magic instead of
Or that
Rangers.
was in tune with at least the mind control telepathy,
because that could have been really fun.
even just a little bit. As for the Rangers' abilities, my goodness, for those listening, our father is an archery hunter. And so we may not be experts, but we've at least been introduced, and some of the things that they do as rangers is more than normal. It's supernatural.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen our dad. He can shoot a pie plate sized target at 80 yards with his compound bow. He doesn't do it very often, but he can hit it and he can do it regularly. But that's at the extreme end. He's using a compound bow. He's using pins. It's not using a long bow.
And he's paced off the
distance.
the distance with all the modern materials and the arrows and.
So is it like they talk about shooting people at distances and they use meters, which is for easy figuring yards. I know they're not the same, but for easy figuring.
They're close.
They're close enough. They're a couple inches off. So when they talk about hitting someone and just these like sniping shots where you hit them at 150, 200 yards, really? With a bow, with a longbow, and with a longbow that's going to be like war bow weight, which is going to be somewhere between 100 and 120 pound draw weight.
At least.
Excuse me? Like, yeah, that's a great draw weight, but longbow archers in the actual medieval period weren't snipers. That's not what they did. They shot a whole bunch of arrows into an area, and everyone died there.
That's what they did in Scandia to defend the whatchamacallit, the Tumanjia, the Mongol army invasion. There we go.
Oh yeah, but these rangers. They're pretty ridiculous.
Their ponies are just as their horses, their mounts are just as supernatural and magical as their own abilities, and we haven't even discussed them magically blending in with an open field and getting across it without somebody noticing who's actually paying attention looking for them.
Yeah, modern snipers they move distance of like less than a yard every hour. When sneaking into position.
Yeah,
they're
hardcore.
Like, I just can't imagine spending days, like 3 or 4 days, creeping into position for a shot. Like, how do you eat? How do you pee? I understand how you pee, but
and you just pee.
Like, this just does not seem like a fun job.
And these rangers didn't do that.
No, they end up moving relatively quickly across open space.
Now I forget, were the ponies from Hibernia?
No, the ponies aren't from Halt's homeland. They're from the.
I forgot which one they're from. They were somewhere special.
The ones that are invading Scandia, That massive army.
The Mongols.
Yeah, pretty
The
much
Mongol. Okay.
That's Tuland. Or
It's Tamaya, Temujai for because I can't pronounce that. That's the people. They're from the Eastern Steppes. Was all I was able to find.
Yeah.
Um,
There we go. I see it now.
yeah, but their weapons are designed after the nihon-ja,
Yeah.
the Japanese art style of creating forging swords, and they always described as being like super hardened blades
Yep.
in the books,
Oh yeah.
but a super hard blade would snap.
Yep. It's just a matter of like what kind of materials they're made out of. They don't talk. What I'm a little surprised of is that they don't talk about it being made of like a blended steel. They just mention it being super hard, really resilient, really tough.
They did mention that it had swirls or a rippled effect if you looked really close.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That would be more like a Damascus steel,
which is roughly what sort of was done by the Japanese with their katanas. They would use folded steel techniques in order to go and layer a softer but flexible steel with a hard steel to go and keep the edge, so it could be razor sharp all the time and still flex and absorb the blows. But it's not really described that way in the books. The Ranger weapons are always described as super hard and able to take anything. They don't chip, they don't hardly nick. It's all like the other people's blades do, but theirs doesn't.
Yeah, I understand not having much of damage if your weapon is harder and more resilient, but then to have it that hard and like razor sharp.
Yeah, the combination, and then it wasn't really explained
how or why or where or anything.
Yeah, it was just like we stole the techniques, but you're just calling it super hard, and a super hard metal breaks. Like it takes a lot, but it should snap in half
than others. Yeah. Back to the ponies. Those ponies are smarter than any animals we encounter. Like those are so well trained ponies. The
personalities continue from generation to generation.
Yeah, it makes it seem like all of the rangers are actually like schizophrenic or something. And they're just pretending that the horses
have a personality and are talking to them.
Yeah. So it's either these horses are actually smarter than any horses ever alive, or all the rangers are schizophrenic.
Which could be an attribute of their superpowers. A side effect.
Well, it also could explain, like, if they're all schizophrenic, then you can understand why you can't really trust what they're saying. Oh, I shot this guy at 200 yards. Well, no, you didn't. He was 6 feet in front of you.
Or you snuck up for 3 hours to go and get close enough.
So, if you take that into consideration, then maybe. But I'm not sure John Flanagan would appreciate his carefully crafted characters to become schizophrenic by our judgment.
Yeah.
I liked the magical creatures they introduced in the first book, but it was too bad we never really saw them again. It's like...
Yeah, nowhere else. There was some slightly less human ones in the last book that with the Japanese, the nihon-ja. With their giant ice cat and the giants. I think they were giants or giant-like.
Just really stout men.
Really big non-humans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing else. Nowhere else.
Could have been a little better developed. would have been nice, especially if you introduce a character that has telepathic abilities, and then they have like a wargle that comes around with them and does all the manual labor for them.
Yeah.
And you meet them for like 20 minutes in the book. It would have been nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little nod to this stuff is still there. But no.
And that goes straight into just the characters in general. Like, it's a very small cast of main characters that seem to be in every single book.
Yeah, without any good excuse to be in every single book? Yeah.
Yeah, they have to be in every book, and they have to come along and have to be participating, even though we don't have... Like, I'm waiting for books just for Gillen.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Will is he's a boy. That's all he is. He doesn't have anything really going on for him. He doesn't have any particular skills or talents or personality like a boy. But
he's pretty well written. I didn't like the jumps between the books and the storyline in general. It just seemed like we were getting weird snapshots, and then suddenly he was an old man.
Yeah, personally, I like understanding how long it takes to become an expert at archery, and understanding how much time there really would be in there. It would have been nice to see him like progressing at like a rate instead of by the end of the first book he went from not knowing how to shoot a bow to being pretty good at it,
proficient,
and by the next book he's like excellent, amazing.
He's well above average, and then the book after that he's like his own. He's practically,
or story arc at least after that.
Yeah, he's like superhuman.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have him have more real personality flaws and traits. Like, he became a drug addict for a little while.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah, like, it was a single hiccup in a single instance, and then it was never discussed again or mentioned. Yeah. What did you think of the almost love triangle?
Love triangles are way more interesting, okay? When one girl likes two boys, or when one boy likes two girls, and they end up squabbling over each other, that would have been just perfect.
They do it all the time. It's a major part of most books.
Yeah. Too bad that they didn't do anything with that.
Didn't do anything with that.
Yeah.
Because really, the Cassandra angle, or Evelyn, as she prefers to be called by her friends, that just seemed so forced. It didn't seem to flow naturally. It just seemed to be so forced, and yet the Alice or whatever, it just seemed to spring almost out of nowhere. Like, there was a bit of a crush, but there was nothing, like, it wasn't acted upon, and then suddenly it was there.
And then the girl that he had a crush on just kind of... Doesn't she end up dating Gillen? Yeah. Yeah, the cook. Can't remember her name at the moment. Yeah, the cooking lady. She just ends up dating somebody else, but that was the one he really liked.
Uh-huh.
Like, what? Excuse me. I understand. Cassandra, that could have been a really nice twist, that they were just really good friends and really good buddies, and that there could have been more conflict there.
But it was weird that she would suddenly have a crush on him and continue to have a crush on him over somebody else. It just didn't seem natural. Like, sure, they're together, but you're really going to go and fall in love? You're like 11.
Yeah. I don't know the last time I saw an 11-year-old that fell in love and that, stuck around for a while.
Yeah, and then it lasted until they were allowed to get married.
Yeah. It happens, just a few more years in the future. Like, when you're 16, you can have a crush, and that can develop into something. Halt was an interesting character. I didn't like him. I like him as a person, but as a character for a story, he just was this superhero the whole time.
Well, I loved him in the first few books. The first, I think it would have been 3 or 4 books.
Yeah.
Just until after the Scandia arc.
Yeah.
And then he just sort of like broke down. He lost his integrity as a character and just sort of like devolved into just feelings and warm fuzzies and just blah. Before that, he was hard-edged, he had emotion, other than suddenly warm fuzzies, he was mythical in proportion. He was way up there. And I think that was good at the beginning because Will was a nobody. He was a nobody. And he was looking up to him as a superhero, and so that was fine. But the transition went from superhero to your
Emotional
average
drunkard.
I would say like soccer dad.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like he went from superhero to just a regular soccer dad. Like no hard edge, no anything. He's just squishy.
Squishy and sentimental.
Uh-huh. Still great, but not what you started with.
Yeah, I know. For me, I don't like having people that are so superhuman and so indestructible. I would have liked it if, bad things happened to him and they stayed bad. Like,
well, that was the good thing about him in the beginning is he had all the dark moments from his past that he was carrying around while he was a superhero, like in that superhero mode,
which seemed pretty genuine. But as things went on,
it was at least a weakness for the strength.
Yeah, yeah. I would have liked it if he just wasn't ever reinstated into the Rangers after the Scandi arc, or if he actually had died when he was assassinated or tried to be assassinated, was assassinated. One of those.
Whatever that was.
If he'd actually died, or he'd end up with severe detriment, some reason to be...
But too dark, and it starts to go against the purpose that John Flanagan wrote these for. He wrote these initially as short stories for his kid, and then he returned to them like a decade later. He found them again and started working on them. So they're supposed to be good versus evil with good winning. It's supposed to be all of the good aspects of society in it. I just think that there was too much fantasy and not enough reality in the balance.
Yeah. He missed a few spots where it would have been a good time to have something. Kids got to learn that what bad things happen to good people, and bad things happen, and there's repercussions for your actions, and it just doesn't get better necessarily.
Yeah.
Sometimes you mess up so badly, you can't fix it. Mom can't fix it. Dad can't fix it. It's dumb broken.
Yeah, and you shouldn't have done it in the first place. Like, you should have listened to them before when they told you don't do that, and you did it anyways, and it fell to pieces, and it's your fault.
Yep.
Sort of a bit of a warning, bit of a lesson of just listen the first time.
Although, to be fair, like these books have inspired a lot of people to, be excited about archery and things like that. Did you know that our nephew, he loves these books.
Which nephew?
Jordan.
Oh, Jordan. The good nephew. No.
The good one.
What? Pretty much the oldest nephew.
Pretty much. He got a bow just a couple of months ago. He's doing our competition archery shoots. He loves it. He's trying to get certified to do it. He'll run his own trapping line.
His own trapping line. Wow.
That's one of the only ways you can carry a handgun in Canada.
Oh, okay.
I want to have a trapping line too.
Just so you can. Oh, I'm on my way to my trapping line.
Oh, it's to dispatch game officer.
That's funny.
So
And
it has really inspired a generation.
did you hear about our old school that they've won awards in archery?
What, that school?
That school, they actually won awards. They won big awards in archery.
How? When you did hunter's training, Dad went and taught archery.
Yeah,
They must have hired someone.
somehow it got started, and they've won big. And it's just like, why didn't we have that? Like that would have been a sport I actually would have participated in.
Fair enough. We're not really sportsy people.
No. Thus the reading, the lots and lots of
To
reading.
be interested, if anyone's interested, you can actually find uh, what are called you finish bows on Etsy, and they're like a longbow, and they're not completed yet. They don't have their varnish on them, and they don't have the sealant on the bow. But you can, they're actually really affordable. But you can they'll make it to your size, so it'll be the right draw length for you, and they'll make it to whatever poundage you'd like. So if people like LARP, you can get like a 30-pound draw weight. But if you want to try and kill animals or assassins or whatever, you can get like an 80, 90, 100-pound draw weight.
Or even for just decoration.
That's fair. And they're real longbows. They're at the actual height of what you'd expect a longbow to be, so almost 6 feet tall, depending on the draw length. And like in Canadian dollars, they're like $35.
In Canadian dollars.
Well, right now there's a difference.
There's a big difference right now.
So, shipping though, that's where they get you.
Yep. And have you read any of the sequel series to
Brother Band Chronicles?
Yeah, Brother Band Chronicles. Have you read any of them?
No, I haven't read any of them. I don't like waiting for new books to come out, so I just wait till people are finished writing and then read everything.
Yeah, that's fair. That's why I haven't started Dragon Prophecy trilogy that comes after the Obsidian trilogy and comes after the Phoenix trilogy. Yeah, I've waited because there was such a long delay between the first book and the first book and the second book. The second book's finally finished. It's at the publisher. Yeah.
Don't you love it when authors let you know where they're at?
Yes. It's pretty good. I keep going to all the places that our expectant authors usually post. So if you guys are listening, you can go and check out I try to keep an updated countdown, a list of all the books that are coming out that we're looking forward to. Speaking of which, number 6 in the Brother Band Chronicles, The Ghost Faces, comes out June 14th. I don't think we'll be reviewing it very soon because obviously we would have to read the first 5.
Yeah.
But we'll probably get to it.
To be fair, knowing how fast we ended up reading through the Ranger's Apprentice series, like you only spent like 2 weeks maybe?
Pretty much. When I actually had the books. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife got mad at me because I started reading the first book and I didn't talk to her until I finished reading the last book, and it was like 10 days, and she was a little upset.
Yep. I remember that.
So she's got a sore spot for the Ranger's Apprentice because of that. Too bad.
All right, I think that's it that's all our time anyways. Let us know in any of the comments on the blog or on YouTube. Let us know what you think. Like us on Facebook or on the blog or wherever to let us know that you liked it. Tell us what we got wrong, what we missed.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll see you all next time, if there is a next time. And thanks for listening. Later.
Okay. Peace.